Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight UK Season 9, episodes 25 through to 28. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, we got the whole commitment ceremony at the start of the week. We had Casper and Emma, and they decided to leave. Casper's got a new stylish haircut, Dave. I'd noticed last few episodes. He's got the full fade going on at the side, like a zero, and it's all up. He's definitely had a little bit of a manscaping going on there. He's had the beard was like a goatee type situation. But ultimately, they were a disaster together, weren't they? We had them in the flat and they were chatting, or the apartment, they were chatting together. And you're like, why are you two still here? Like, I don't think... I felt sorry for Emma, but then also I'm like, but I don't really care, if that makes sense. That's not being awful, because I felt Casper's emotional intelligence and his weirdness and this weird, like, hang up on his own sister with Emma was just bizarre. And that, like, plagued the relationship. But I think they could have gone a couple of weeks ago and nobody would have noticed, really, would they?
No, and it's one of those, for me, I want to at least see some kind of growth, something that's happened. But I'm looking at it, it's like, I don't think you two made a ripple, and I don't think you grew one bit. I don't think you learned anything. And I think before I was probably just coming down on the middle between them. I was just, they're both, you can see you've got this toxic positivity thing coming from Emma. You've got Casper, who seems like a bit of a knob, but then he has some points in the middle of his knobbishness. But then, I think this week, I think he's he's leaned more into the knobbishness, because that whole comment last week from the, what was it? He said something like, "Oh yeah, I need to learn how to do this better so that I can take it into my next relationship." And Emma's sat right there. It's like, you fucking bellend. Like, even if that's in your head, right, it's not okay to verbalize that. It's really fucking hurtful. But I think from that moment, you saw Emma just absolutely switch off. And actually, I liked removing that veneer of toxic positivity, and you could see Emma was just getting a bit fucked off, and she was like, what's the fucking point in this? Because I think for all the shitty things that Casper had said, she was trying to remain optimistic with it all. And then I like the fact, especially at the dinner party, where she's just pouring herself some wines and like, fuck this shit. So I kind of like that. Very, very glad, very thankful, Chris, that they didn't do the old, this is all going really bad. But I still think there's a chance. So we're going to stay another week and enjoy this all-inclusive. I'm glad they didn't do that. Fucking put it to bed. But like I say, the disappointing for me is I don't think they learned anything. And I think emotionally, I think they both got quite a lot of growing up to do, haven't they? So before they try and get with someone else.
Yeah, I think so. I think with Emma, she sort of needs to back herself a bit more, doesn't she? I mean, I've probably done her a disservice, to be honest. I think what you said's right. She just had enough of him, didn't she? He seems to just only like her when he was breaking her down. I said it last week. It was a weird way to, I want to see you vulnerable. What? You want to see her fucking miserable and having a bad day and having a bit of a mental health breakdown, and that's the only way you can sort of get excited about the relationship. That's not right. That is not right at all. And very bizarre couple. I think you're right. I don't think they'll learn anything. Emma might be a little bit more reserved, but someone out there is her person, aren't they? Like, as there is for Casper. Casper's on a different plane to most people, what he actually wants. It's very strange. But I think for Emma, there's a chance that she could find the happiness. And I just think, just back yourself a bit more. Don't just go, because it was all this Bridget Jones bollocks, wasn't it, when she first started? I like a wine and all this. And it's like a security thing, isn't she? She's trying to sort of feel like secure in herself and knows that there's loads of things. And I say it all the time, but the best thing to do that to discover yourself is definitely go on a reality TV show, because it's the one thing that will always bring out the best side of everybody, including yourself. Fucking ridiculous.
Oh, Chris, you know what? I think my favorite, and I'm going to skip right to the end, and then we can absolutely come back. But my favorite bit of this whole fucking season, in fact, of maths, it might even be of reality TV since we even started, is you've got Kieran cowering in the corner, trying to hide, holding a glass of wine, crying his eyes out, and then he comes up. If you'd like to apply to be on future shows of maths.
I saw that.
Are you fucking kidding me? What? You're going to look at that and think, I tell you what, that sounds like a fucking great idea, that does.
The guy's in the corner in the fetal position. He's a fucking alcoholic now and everything. Yeah, come and join the fun. Yeah. Fucking Paul's there. Come and join the fun, everyone. It's great. Yeah, fuck off. I saw that. So glad you picked
amazing.
Up on that. Well, I do know about Kieran and that, but let's talk about Alex and Holly. So we got the end of their relationship. Alex, Dave, I'm sorry, but I sort of want to do the old Twitter thing like you did and go on and have a go at Paul and say, not necessarily Paul, but all three of them. So I'm not just picking Paul out. And then producers, like, Alex got a little bit of a drilling for his behaviour, but Holly seemed to get even worse. I think even Casper came off worse than what Alex did. I cannot understand what's going on here, because the disconnect of what we see as the audience, and we know, and I say every week, they only see the dinner party and then these whatever the couples bring to the table. They work off that. But fucking Alex seemed to get away with fucking all sorts of bullshit there the other day. I'm not saying Holly's without fault. I'm not a massive fan. I did feel a little bit sorry for it. It felt as if she was exposed for, you're here for the clicks. And I still think that's why she's left. She hasn't gone to see her kids. I think the relationship was just toxic. She's not without fault, but he is every red flag, I think, for any lady watching. And I've seen that not just from in the chat, online. Like, how are the experts, and we're calling him Ornaments from now on, Dave. I love that name now that you called him. What the fuck is going on? Why are the producers not going in? They've absolutely, literally just gone, you know what? All this safeguarding, everything else, fuck that. Let's throw it out the window. Let's see what lands with this whole disaster of a relationship. And honestly, at times, even as a guy, this has been really uncomfortable to watch, I've got to say, Dave.
Yeah, and I don't think you can talk about Alex and Holly without talking about the Ornaments as well, because I think this is their worst moment in any of the seasons that we've watched. I think they've just looked so bad, and it's never been quite so obvious that they just, this thing about safeguarding and we've got psychologists, we screen people to make sure they're okay before they come in. Bullshit. You just fucking, again, you have your couples that you think might have a decent chance. Your scientific process is no more sophisticated than if you or I, Chris, were to look at a bunch of fucking pictures of people and say, they look like they sort of get on, and the way they match is just bollocks. But I still don't quite know, the likes of Paul, like, how much of a hand does he have in the production and the editing? Or are they just contracts? Are they just contractors and hands for hire? In which case, they do all this, they apparently give all this great advice, and it just ends up on the editor's floor, on the cutting room floor. But honestly, they just, because it's an edited show, we missed all of that. I just don't know. I'm just not sure I buy it with all the different things Paul in particular is involved in. I can't help but feel like, do you think Mel doesn't have anything to do with the production of this show? I think that's bollocks. But if you say that they are just hands for hire, they've absolutely made them look like fucking idiots, because that's what they've looked like here. They did the old fucking, there was problems on both sides. They did that whole thing, and it's like, no. And again, I got no fucking horse in the race with Holly. I think I don't particularly like her, but fucking Alex, how dare you? Like, apportion equal blame to Alex and Holly. That's what they seem to do, wasn't it? Just equal blame. You both got things to work on. Off you go. And fuck me, it was so bad to watch because, again, I've said this show, through showing things like this, I mean, they keep saying, oh, it's not unscripted. I tell you what, we'll definitely get on to set up scenes, though. You might not have a script, but you've got set up scenes 100%. But even when people are demonstrating this toxic behavior, the show's got an opportunity to fucking educate, to actually, talk about some of these things openly. And we can all, be bought into the entertainment. Because again, Chris, I'm going to be a hypocrite and say I fucking loved this week, even though it was, a bit of a car crash in slow motion. But they have the opportunity to, you watch the entertaining bits and they say, oh, well, actually, these are the particular traits, that are not good. So if you're at home watching and you're seeing something similar, watch out for these things. And then, they have that opportunity to put some goodness into the world, but they don't give a fuck about that. They just want to show this messy drama. The psychological screenings are more like, oh, you're a nice, healthy, stable, emotionally mature person. You can fuck right off, right? We need to get these other people in here to basically put through the ringer and have cowering in the fetal position in the corner at the end of next episode. So yeah, that's what my thoughts are, Chris, on Alex and Holly and the Ornaments / experts.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Ornaments are just a disaster. And what gets me is, Dave, if we're going to go down the route, and you're right about the blame being 50-50, at least show why Holly should also be in, as you would say, shit corner like Alex is. There's nothing that we've really seen from Holly, even though we can tell she's a blagger and all that, she's there for the fame, to really say, you know what, she's as bad as him, because I've not seen it. Alex has gone at every single woman in the actual experiment. He's treated them with complete lack of respect. He's been really off. I mean, Lacey, he didn't even catch what she said, and he just started laying into her. And then it was only afterwards that someone must have said to him, you do know that she was not getting involved and doing anything, that he sort of then apologized. Holly has just been a reality TV star, someone who's fame hungry, wants a bit. She tried to tolerate for as long as she could, and then it was like, fuck that. I mean, look at her. She was sat next to him going, I can't sit next to you. I can't fucking sit next to you. That is the sign of why I think she went home. I think emotionally, she was like, fuck this. I'm worth more than that. And again, if she's been outrageous, if she's been terrible to Alex, and the reason Alex is the way he is because like, she's been awful to him in the apartment, off camera, everything. You need to sort of somehow show us some sort of context to that, because he just seemed to be like, oh yeah, he's a bit of a wind-up, Alex. Yeah, great. Yeah, okay, take care. And I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. Again, the show, I do not believe that the real gritty stuff where they've gone at like Alex and Holly and all these other people is on the cutting room floor. Why the fuck would you frame a show when the best bits are on the editing floor, Dave? The best bits are usually there for a reason, aren't they? Because there's no fucking meat behind it. So I call bullshit on that. I think Paul's just fucking absolutely knows. And Paul knows that it's bad for the image of the show. It's bad for his image. And obviously Mel and Charlene, they don't go where I know I always sort of, the reason I always say Paul is because he's just dead blasé about anything, isn't he? He'll go in on people, and I've said it before, but then he backtracks thinking, oh, hang on a minute. It feels sometimes with Paul that he's thinking about when this airs and how he's going to be perceived, not necessarily calling out the bad behavior. And that's what I don't understand. It's like, Alex, he should have been booted off the show weeks ago. And he's not here now. But yeah, what an interesting character. And they've got to do better in the next series for me. And like I say, Holly's not without blame, but I'd say it's probably 70-30 in Alex's favour for me for just being a complete bellend.
Yeah, I'd go with that ratio. I mean, I think Holly escalates, doesn't she? I think, again, she's had kids at a young age. She hasn't really got that emotionally emotional maturity. That's what comes across for me, and that's why she doesn't get off scot-free. But it's a different level what Alex, what Alex's issues are. But I think someone posted it in the group, and I think they got it from like TikTok or Instagram or something. But so I think the wider community, I think, as not even community outside of us as well, but people watching maths are also having a bit of a question around the experts as well. And someone had obviously gone to look into Paul's background. We had a look at his website the other week, didn't we? And but they pulled out the fact that, hang about, this guy, he's just got a fucking business degree. He makes out like, I mean, he doesn't say, oh yeah, I'm a psychologist or whatever, but that's the way he comes across, and that's the way he presents himself. And so clearly, even just from that, you see other people are questioning it. It's like, these guys are full of shit. And that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, I do feel like Paul in particular is gaslighting the whole fucking nation to think like he's this Yoda, like fucking Zen master. He's fucking Dr. Love or something. And he's not. He's just a blagger. And the fact is, like you say, the reason I think he will give someone a stern few words when they've been fucking outrageous. I mean, we've seen it on Celebs Go Dating, and now straight into maths as well. Is say something, this type of behavior is not okay. And they go, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. He said, that's all I wanted to hear. It's like, no, sometimes something is shit and it's just shit. But he's trying to put like this, Zen master energy into the world that everything is fucking positive. And sometimes something's shit and you have to just fucking call it out. So that's the most disappointing thing for me. But I am heartened, Chris, because we've been going on about the experts for a while. But I think through being so bad, whereas just more subtly bad before, but in this season being so bad, and in particular with Alex, I think more and more people are questioning, what are these fucking jokers, these charlatans actually doing?
And that's good, isn't it? Because obviously you're right, because our whole thing is let's sniff out the bullshit, the fakers, everything. And I think that's probably hit the nail on the head. And people online have it, is the biggest fakers in this series have been the experts.
Yeah.
Charlene rocks up. Some couple are absolutely at death's door. She brings a fucking dildo in with fucking 4 batteries and goes, have a go at that. You know what I mean? It's like Mel dressing like she's on the set, as you said, Game of Thrones, like she's one of the fucking stars.
Nice watch.
And Paul's there, Mr. fucking positivity, innit? Everything's fucking zen and fucking, it's ridiculous. I love John on the Aussie one. He won't stand for this bullshit. Him and Alex would clash, Dave, but he would call that bullshit out. And that is what's missing from the... You can have all 3 of the other experts, or fucking Ornaments, definitely, the 3 I've just mentioned, no problem at all. They need somebody, because Mel can be quite stern, but she's not stern enough. You need someone who's the real leader. And I think Paul is like the lead expert. And, you need a John. You need someone who is going to go, fucking bullshit, I'm going at him. Like we were talking yesterday, we were recording our VHS podcast, and Sophie Monk, I saw it in one of the comments on Facebook from some of our friends on there, and they'd said, in the Aussie one that's just started, and don't worry, Dave, not drop you in it, but we've got the Aussie one, but I think Sophie Monk's line was something like, these people are here to get more Instagram followers. Oh, sorry, love. So even the presenter of the Aussie one, the producers are aware that it's all a big fucking ruse, like we've been saying for years. We know it is. The audience does. It's that 1% chance, as you would say, of like a couple. Actually, I think they actually may be in love. And to be fair, Dave, Tasha and Andrew, Tasha's on Strictly Come Dance at the moment. She's an unbelievable dancer, and they're still together. So he may have sucked a tit and whatever, but they're still together 3 years later, or whatever it is. So what the fuck do we know?
That has been knocked off the top spot. That was my favourite reality TV moment. I sucked a tit or whatever. You are?
Brilliant, isn't it?
Or licked a tit or whatever. That was previously on the top spot of my favourite moments, but... Kieran in the fetal position is my new.
Well,
such an arsehole, aren't I? But an amazing moment.
I don't think you are an asshole, and you've done well there. It's almost like you segued into it, but I am going after Kieran, Dave. I think Kieran now, more than ever, and I've said it for the last few weeks, he's a low-key, nasty piece of work. I think he is enjoying tearing Christina down. He's an absolute bullshitter. And every time there's an opportunity to speak about their relationship, he really seems to say the words that just trigger Christina. Real nasty stuff, Dave. I think he's just been exposed. He's a complete bullshitter. He's not been as obvious as the other people, but he's just there for the fame. The fucking cold sore. Jesus Christ. We said the other week, just say you got an ingrowing toenail or something. Just bullshit anything. He's in bell end for me, Dave. And I think as this has gone on, as much as he's not aggressive and he's not like what we've seen with, say, manipulative like an Alex or a fucking Sasha, Dave, and we'll get on to her. He's doing things that I feel he knows what's going to trigger Christina. It's like he really gets a real kick out of like knocking her down, and she's absolutely emotionally at the bottom when these things happen, whether it's in the commitment ceremonies, at the dinner parties, when they're together as a group. And then he pulls the whole pity party bollocks and turns it on himself. Like you say, going in a corner in the fuck with a wine, like, he's just like, fuck off. I was like, you are the most insincere person, I think, on the show. And that takes a lot, Dave. So for me, he's been the worst for me this week.
Interesting. I'm going to give him more of a pass in that I don't think he's deliberately trying to wind up Christina. I think that's a different level. I think he's just a bit shit at it. I think he's come in there with a plan, with, we'll come on this show, we'll get our Instagram followers. I'm sure, was it this one? Or, we seem to have a Geordie Shore wannabe, don't we? Each season, yeah. It seems, and, we find out these people, oh, yeah, they're mates, and they hang around in bars with the Geordie Shore crowd and stuff like that. And I wasn't thinking that initially with him, but I just think it's as simple as he's come on here for his career. That's why he's talked about, her fucking career goals. It's like she's interviewing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh, well, with a husband. Oh, well, I have down here. It should be your career. So, it's just a fucking weird thing to get hung up on. But I think he's just, that's his plan, was to get a bit of fame, get your followers. And look, we take the piss out of him because we want to believe in the essence, the promise of the show to like match up these people and see how they interact and see them be successful. But you can't deny that, well, you come on this show and then you only need a few thousand fucking followers, and then, advertise a few things, and you don't have to have a real job. So good luck to you in that case. But that's clearly what he's come at in that. I do think there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen on camera with him and Christina as well. So in the first few weeks, every time Christina was on camera, she was just this bubbly ball of energy, wasn't she? She's always upbeat and everything. But she talks about this PDD stuff like it's, she knows it's very hard to live with and stuff. And I just think I'd love to know what it was actually like. And my hypothesis is that he didn't want to take it any further because he felt that she was just getting into the relationship more than he was. Whereas for him, it was always just, it was a kind of side thing. If you met someone, that's a side thing to coming on the show and getting the Instagram followers. So I think that's why he's backing off. Fucking worst excuse in the world about the cold sore, and at the time when he said it, I thought it was probably both of them. Whereas it's become more and more clear it's just from his side, and he doesn't want to be affectionate or anything. We said about last week about how fucking insensitive it was. He gives fucking plants fucking Polly a big kiss on the lips. You're supposed to have a cold sore, and that's why you're not being intimate, mate. But I think the problem is he should have gone a week or two ago, and then he would have preserved this kind of nice guy character. We'd think, all right, we've watched Maths, this guy who's quite funny. Oh, it's a shame him and Christina didn't work out, isn't it? But he's trying to find more and more things that are wrong with her, and he's just coming off like more and more of a dick. I don't think it's as calculated as what you're saying, but I do think he is trying to come up with the excuses. But the thing where he's not, the reason I don't think he's as calculated as that, I don't think he's smart enough, Chris. I mean, the thing with, when they're playing the crazy golf thing and he makes the shaft joke, and at the time I was like, oh, it was like an electric shock going through me. I was like, oh, you fucking idiot. Why would you say that when you got all these fucking intimacy issues within your relationship? And then it's like you're doing a bit of flirty banter, like you're out on a stag do or something like that. It's just wholly inappropriate and mistimed. And I think it's just inadvertently continuing to put his foot in it. And yeah, for me, he's gone from someone who I could have sympathy with, and he just comes across more like a dick now. But the longer he's there, he's going to come across like more and more of a dick. So, almost at the end of the show now, but I think he should have gone a week or two ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I think his dialogue to her, though, Dave, about, there could be something there. I don't want to walk away and all this.
Leading her on, isn't he?
Oh, God. Yeah, you're just bullshitting us. You're bullshitting the poor girl. And Dave, I will say, having watched the Vicky Patterson thing, which I talked about last week, about the PTD that she has, I cannot imagine what that's like. One, for Christina every day to go through that, but obviously trying to live with somebody who's got that. That's obviously, she mentions it. She's very honest about that. That has ruined relationships in the past. So maybe it's his way of getting back at her on screen, because it's an absolute mess off camera. But we need to see that, like the Alex and Holly thing, because for me, it's just coming across, as you said, maybe it is something, he isn't as clever to play that game. The more he goes on, and especially that the other night with the whole hidden behind the cupboard bollocks, I was like, oh mate, you are absolutely going for fucking actor of the year here. And that's what's really frustrating me. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. You could be right. It might be just simply that he just isn't that clever at playing the game. But the more it comes on and his dialogue and the shit he's coming out with, he's like, fuck off. You just go again, because you're ruining that girl's life. If he doesn't like her, he doesn't like it. He's not attracted. They've had no real intimacy. And we're like 6-7 weeks into the relation, the experiment. Just go, mate. Just take your fucking self off. Go back to Newcastle. Go and live in your fucking shed and leave her alone. I think that's it. And I'm not saying that's the Shire. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I'm off.
As you're the last person making a short person joke, but
you did well, lad. You did well. So I've sort of changed it around a little bit, because I want to talk next one, Nathan and Lacey. So Nathan goes back to Lacey's house. She's got the sister, the twin sister, who, for years Lacey's had that. She's the better looking one. The sister's got ADHD. The mum's there. But the mum, fuck me, Dave. I don't know. Talk about thirsty for Nathan. She's been watching too many Carry On films, because we had the plunging fucking boobs were out, weren't they? She's leaning over. Rachel, you're really good at this. Then there was this weird thing where she gets in the bed with Lacey and the sister does. And I said to Sam, I went, well, it looks like fucking Nathan's going to have to look after all three of them here to stay in the fucking family, because the mum said something, and he didn't, he was very quick on the camera. He said something like, oh, my boobs are out here or something. And you can see Nathan's like, where the fuck do I look? That Dave, that was like, had they set her up to play this, like, tempting fucking mother-in-law, like the minute Lacey's not there, she's fucking trying it on, because it was like some weird film, like some movie I may have watched when I was 16, 17, Dave, you know what I mean? But it's just like
a fucking weird story in Reader's Wives or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. But my girlfriend went to work the next minute. The mother-in-law just wouldn't leave me alone. She asked me to come and change a light bulb, and there was more than that going on in the bedroom. That sort of bollocks, Dave. I was like, this is like some 14, 15-year-old lad's fucking fantasy. This. Some woman's like, come in. Sorry, 16, Dave, legally 16, but there you go. That's a whole different podcast. If you watch the VHS Strikes Back, you'd understand these references. But there you go. What do you say about all this, Dave? Because I was thinking, fucking hell, this is weird.
It was weird. And I might surprise you here, but I actually had a bit of sympathy for Lacey's mum here. I think she was just made to look like a bit of an idiot. And really, really set up to look like an idiot. Now, you have to say, well, she came out with the words, and it felt to me like almost every scene there was really set up by the producers. And I know, we talk about these situations and, it not being scripted, but it being set up and whatever. But for me, that whole home scene was the most obvious production setup I think I've seen in any reality TV at all. I can see it in my mind's eye now. There's a moment where Nathan's doing some painting. I mean, fucking hell, he comes to meet the family and that. It's like, oh, I've got some emulsion here. I need the fucking house decorating. It's like, no one does that. But obviously it's set up for the show. And basically, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because like you imagine it's flipped, and what you probably have is a carry-on movie. You've got fucking Sid James there. Come on, dude. Proper like lechy fucking stuff. And, we'd have all laughed back in the day and then, been horrified by it years later. But for some reason, switched around. It's okay for the mother to lech after the daughter's boyfriend. But the bit that I can see in my mind's eye is where the three of them are all there with a cup of tea, with a blue mug of tea, all looking down, and then taking a sup of the tea. I mean, it's almost, how many takes do you reckon that took, Chris, for them to get it all, in time? You probably got someone literally counting there. Okay, take the sup of tea now. 1, 2, 3, go. Because it was so choreographed. It was so in time. It was just ridiculous. And the thing is with Lacey's mum, again, she fucking, she has to come out with the words. I don't believe they put words in her mouth when she's saying like, oh, if he was 20 years older. I mean, I'm glad she said that. Usually the thing you hear is, oh, if I was 20 years younger or whatever. So, that was all fine. But it was so set up for me that I felt really sorry. I felt they'd been put into a position where they were just made to look silly. And the other thing that they've obviously filmed, and it obviously had to happen, but they've chosen to edit it in and show it, is Lacey's younger sister, when Nathan is talking, is definitely giving him the old goo-goo eyes there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really quite obvious as well. So they've chosen to make sure they use that footage. Let's make sure, this whole thing, this dynamic between Lacey's feeling of inferiority to her sister, and let's make it really look interesting to the viewers. Let's make sure the people at home are seeing this, because it wasn't like something subtle that I'm just like, oh yeah, let's rewind it back. They kept going back to her, it was just really, really obvious to me. So yeah, I hear what you're saying about Lacey's mum, but this was the most produced setup scene of the whole season for me.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the painting, especially, you're right. It's like, oh, yeah, just get some emulsion in and we've got the camera crew in. We'll just do a bit of fucking decorating. Fucking nonsense. And he had his normal gear on. He didn't have like his decorating gear on, did he? He was just there with a brush, like, yeah, whatever. So you're right. Yeah, all right, fair enough. I'll go with that then, Dave. But I was, afterwards, I was thinking, well, he could be an absolute dream for Nathan if that's what he's into, keep it all under one roof. But anyway, I'll move on because it's taking a really bad So, Dave, it sort of involved. Now, the next bit involves all three of the couples. You got Amy, Luke, Ross, Sasha, Adam, and Polly. So we do get the sort of wife swap thing, don't they? Like the couples, not wife swap, the couple swap. And you've got Adam with Amy.
Still and for some wives here.
Well, yeah, it's completely a different episode today. But you've got this whole thing where Adam literally can make a fucking boiled egg. And for some reason, Amy is all in because she's ended up with this really nice fucking. And Adam's like, yeah, this is really basic for me. Like he's fucking Gordon Ramsay or something, or Michael Pierre White, the dick. It's like he's not into fucking Polly. He's definitely into Amy. They even go underwear shopping, which he's then sending Polly messages. She sees her ass. Fair enough. Luke's there. Luke seems like a nice guy. He does say a couple of the things wrong, but for some reason, he ended up in fucking on the naughty step and was getting pelters from everyone. But Amy's all in. Now, Adam's ideal woman was Michelle Keegan. I'm not saying Amy looks like Michelle Keegan, but she's a good-looking girl. Maybe that's why he's had Michelle Keegans of the world, Dave, because he's great at making a fucking poached egg that has runny fucking yolk in it. I don't know. Maybe that's the secret. He can make a good poached egg. What an absolute weird trajectory that took this week, and especially for Luke, because he ended up getting a right load of shit off everyone.
Yeah, and I think Luke does say some stupid things at times, but let's remember, his first language is not English. And the way he speaks English, it's not like he's just, it's flowing out of him. It's clearly, I think there are some things that are definitely lost in translation there. So I agree. I'm giving him a bit of a pass. But Chris, God, this lot, honestly, I have to question again. I've probably been doing it since the start. I ain't got a fucking clue who I'm rooting for here. I think probably the answer is no one.
Yeah.
So it was so obvious what was happening. And Adam was almost having a bit of a redemption arc, I think, through the season. I don't think he could pull it back for me, but I'd heard other people say, well, he seems to be doing things a bit better. And, if you compare what Adam's doing to, say, Alex, he's coming off a lot better. He's seeing his flaws and he's trying to work on them. Adam was putting out all the fucking stops. He was flirting his arse off to try and make an impression on Amy. And like when he's making a fucking boiled egg or poached egg or whatever, and Amy's like, oh yeah, giving me the proper princess treatment, which fucking irritates me as well, to be honest. But, Adam's like, oh yeah, this is the minimum. This is the minimum that I do. It's just like, he's got his whole sales pitch on. Now, I will grant him, right? There was one bit that made me laugh, but it was, again, just him being overly flirty. Was the when Amy said, oh, do you not sleep with your wedding ring on? And he said, oh, no, I can't sleep with my wedding ring on or clothes. To be fair, that was a funny bit of flirty banter, I thought. But again, it was just so clear what was going on. As soon as she walks into the apartment, he's like, oh, yeah, fucking Polly wanted to put that up. Not so keen on it myself. And the whole thing where they go to the lingerie shop, none of that, I'm sorry, Polly, if you're listening, none of that was for Polly. None of it at all. That was all just a demonstration to Amy. Oh, look how open and, open-minded and sort of I can be in this sexual type environment. I'm totally cool with it all. And all of that was to do with Adam's play for Amy. And it's just, I tell you what, I've said it in the past, but I would love just a little fucking sprinkle of Adam's confidence. Because I don't know where he gets it. I do still suspect he might be a Jedi and he's putting out Jedi mind tricks on people. But yeah, but none of this lot, Chris, none of this lot, I don't think come out with very much fucking stock from me this week. I think Adam in his overly flirty banter, and then he's got a fucking face on him. As soon as he goes back to Polly, he's got a face on him. Amy, I thought, well, actually, let me stick on Adam. I'll just say quickly, I thought Amy's fucking attitude stunk as well, to be honest. And yeah, I didn't like her attitude at all this week. But what do you think about the Adam and Amy stuff first?
Dave, she's his perfect type, isn't she? Like, exactly that. It was almost as if, like, him and Polly were divorced and Amy was his new girlfriend. And it was like, well, we still live together, though, until we sell the house. It was like she was an afterthought, wasn't she? I mean, Polly and him are not compatible. Polly's very insecure. I don't think Polly delivers, and she gets involved in shit on other people's business. I don't personally like Polly, but Adam you're right. You're very true what you said. He was having a redemption arc, and then that sort of, hang on, the fucking sleazy. Yeah, if Amy had given him half a flash, I think he'd have been in there, Dave. He wouldn't have even thought twice about fucking Luke or Polly. He'd have definitely wanted to sort of take that relationship further. And I think in his eyes, he was thinking, hang on a minute, there's a chance here. We may have a little rendezvous while the cameras aren't here. They're supposed to be staying together. So yeah, he's a bell end. And I think when he went back to with his mate and everything, his mate was just so fucking awkward. We went back to his house and that one.
He was embarrassed, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was just like,
embarrassed for him.
Fucking hell. Yeah, he was like, mate, come on. He never said it, but you could clearly see he felt he was in the wrong. And that was wrong against Polly because she's coming into his house, isn't she? So it's like, be nice sort of thing. And he couldn't. He sort of, that little bit of sorrow I felt for him, that little bit of like guilt of like, actually, I can sort of see what he's saying. And some of it was because of the way Polly and Holly had treated like some of the other people. I'm like, nah, that's gone. That you're absolutely exactly what I thought you are. You're just like an absolute blagger, and he's just one of the boys, Dave. With a shit haircut, a hairdresser.
Right.
Does it all? Well, yeah. So, but no, I'm with you on that. Now, Dave, I said about Kieran, and he is up there as bell end of the week, but I do think someone else overtook Kieran for me. Just Sasha. Now, Sasha is a spoiled brat who has been all her life, had her mum and dad going in and out, or her brothers or whatever, and she's basically caused so many ructions. She loved Ross going at Alex, didn't she? She thought it was hilarious. Like, that obviously what gets her off. But I'll tell you what, Dave, she's got a horrible personality. The way she went at Luke, I don't know why she was doing that stupid thing with her lipstick and on her lips and that day was pissing me off anyway when she was having a go at Luke. But I was like, what's he got to do with you? Alex has gone, who you've gone at. And I felt that Alex was terrible towards her, but she also didn't come out of it very well. And for me, she's been on an absolute decline for the last couple of weeks. This whole prim and proper, lovely person has just gone to shit to me. She's absolutely fake. And I think the next couple of weeks, she's really got to change it round because I'm not buying anything. And the fact that she's willing to let Ross move to Birmingham when he's got a child says it all, Dave. Because if it was me, and I know she might not like it, but because of a weird incestuous family, she should have been the one to say, I think I need to move up here, not Ross. But Ross is the one who's got, and I'm sorry, Ross is too good for it in my eyes, Dave. I'm putting it on record. I don't like her at all.
Yeah, she's not had a good couple of weeks. I agree. I think the nastier side of her has come out more and more. And then it was very weird, wasn't it? Where this whole, love's young dream, Chris, we can't forget that. We have to come back to it. But she just, the way she interacted with the rest of the group, I think was a bit distasteful, to be honest. But then it was a weird turn of events, wasn't it? Where she saw Ross with his daughter, and it was very cute. His daughter, obviously, lots of love for her dad, but rather than say, "Oh, look how he is with his daughter, and she obviously loves him to bits," and this is someone who could be the father of my children, kind of thing. She's thinking, "Oh, it's reminded me of my situation," and turned everything inwards. And I couldn't possibly move, away from my dad. I mean, her mum's there as well. I don't know why she gets. She's always talking about her dad. I often wonder, what does a mum think about all this? She's not like, I'm fucking sat here as well, But yeah, I don't know. Do we know if Sasha's even moved out of her bedroom? I mean, do we know that? I don't feel like it's not in my memory whether she's moved out at all. And I just think, to put it into perspective, I mean, it's Walsall, isn't it? So it's just outside Birmingham. Basically, Chris, if she lived on the south side of Manchester, it's not fucking that. It's not even 2 hours. Like it's not that fucking far away. But she's making out as if it's like, oh, do I really want to move to, I don't know, fucking Australia or something, and not see my mum and dad? It's really not that fucking far. So I don't know if is it about moving away? Is she really trying to get Ross to move away from his daughter? I mean, she's a fucking grown woman, and Ross has got, a young girl, a young daughter there. If you're being completely separate from it, and separate from the personalities, well, of course, fucking, it's more important for Ross to be closer to his daughter. Full fucking stop, right? You're a grown fucking woman. Grow the fuck up, right? I don't know if it's that feeling of like moving, all the way, across the country, all that fucking way. Like, it's a single motorway that takes you there, hour and a half or something. Honestly, I don't know if it's just an excuse. To be honest, I wonder, is it about being homesick or just a fucking excuse that actually, she was never really that into Ross?
And I think she's not really into him. And not just that, Dave. She also gives off the vibes that his daughter would be an absolute wedge in the relationship. I can imagine it's me or her type thing. And if I was Ross, it's always going to be your daughter, mate.
100%.
It's never. And I feel that with her, I saw that in someone in my family had that same situation, moved away, everything. And it was the worst thing. And they moved back within a few months. Like, why have I even done this? And they ended up, the relationship's there, but it was sort of like, what the hell are you doing? Don't ever be asked to pick between your child and your relationship. If someone's committed to you and loves you and they know that you've got a child, they've also got to understand that that child will always come first. And there's no point being jealous. That's what being a parent's about, isn't it, Dave? As the saying goes, Dave, I'm getting quite thingy on this, quite serious, but you owe your kids everything, you owe your parents nothing, Dave. That's what I believe, and I believe that's true. So anyway, that's me coming as a parent, not being a bellend. I would never have, if I was in that situation, if there was the choice of moving and moving away from Jordan, Dave, it's staying where you are. There's no way I would have done that. I know what people think differently and all that, and I get it, but like fucking Stephen, 4 kids, lives in London. Great. Yeah, I go to Leeds every 3 weeks or whatever. Marvellous. Well done. You know what I mean? It's
what a fucking great comparison you've made there, because again, that was Stephen's choice. He could have lived fucking anywhere. And I don't think Ross will actually move away from his daughter.
No, I hope he doesn't.
100%. There's fucking no way I would. Absolutely no way. But Stephen, it shows a lot for his character that he's just like moving away from Leeds. Just, oh yeah, fuck off. I'll see you every, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks or whatever the frequency was. No, you need to fucking be there so that even beyond the scheduled times, if something fucking happens and goes wrong, you're there. That's the most important thing you need to be as a parent. So I think it was really an immature thing. I'll be, again, I don't know what's up with me today, Chris, being a little bit forgiving of certain people, but I think I'm being a little bit more forgiving of Sasha, just saying it's hugely immature, like emotionally immature of her. Like I say, she's fucking grown up, and it's not like she's moving to Australia, fucking Canada, or something, America or something like that. She's fucking, like I say, a single motorway takes you from where she is to Manchester. Live in fucking Cheshire or something like that, Stoke. I'm just baffled by it, but I think it's probably more of an immaturity thing, if I'm honest. But maybe I'll have a Google later. I'm trying to make sure I avoid any spoiler. In fact, no, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'll just live in the suspicion that she's still fucking living at home. She's got to take that posters up. Oh, it's probably not take that. Who would it be? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe things, wasn't it? One Direction, probably.
One Direction, yeah. So, I mean, this woman, thinks that celibacy is just not having a shag for a bit. It's just, that's why I'm giving her a bit of a pass. I think it's just an immaturity thing more than anything else.
The voice of reason today, David. So anything else before we go?
No, I'll just say about Amy and Luke. I mean, Luke, fucking hell, man. If you're sitting on hotel seats, put some fucking pants on, please. Other people have to live in that after you. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be the ones to watch next week, rather. Again, Amy was pissing me off because, like, you know what? If you want to go and be treated by a fucking, like a princess, fuck off and I don't know, set yourself up with Hugh Hefner or something. You know what I mean? The language of it was really irritating me. And the thing I'd say is, with Luke, he does come out with some funny lines, but he also he's been accused of being a different person depending on who he's with. And again, I feel like a lot of that's lost in translation. I think the thing about saying that, initially he was saying he was glad that Amy wasn't in that picture because, Amy's really classy. But then, in the homestays, then he's saying to Lacey, well, I was jealous because I don't think my wife would do that with me, and it was just, and Lacey couldn't fucking wait to tell Amy some shit about what Luke had said. I do have to say it was another fucking special moment of this week when that initial thing came out on the couch. And Lacey's like, in a proper EastEnders voice, it's like, what do you mean I'm not classy? What do you mean? Yeah. So way to go, Lacey, there. But yeah, so Luke does seem to, I think he's constantly trying to keep the peace, but he ends up just saying very different things to different people. And so, yeah, again, I unfortunately for Amy and Luke, I mean, they seemed to be going okay last week, didn't they? But I mean, he could start by, stop saying the cringy shit that probably works quite well if you're doing a Butler in the Buff, bit of, sexual banter, jokey style sort of stuff. But, when you're in a relationship, probably doesn't work as well. I think if he dialed that a bit back, then, Amy wouldn't be comparing, saying, oh, well, Adam does this, Adam does that. It's like, don't fucking compare me to, just because you made the egg on toast.
I love it. You're right about Lacey. It was like, oh, well, he never treated me like that. He said I was his special lady, a classy lady, and all this shit. Like, fuck off. Load of bullshit. But no, Dave, great week. And I know I've just been looking at it. I thought he finished next week, but it is actually the week after. The 14th of November is the last episode. So we have got another 2 weeks, one way or the other. So I think we've probably got 1 full week left, and then it's the commitment ceremony. Well, the I do ceremony, whatever it's called. And then we'll have the reunion. I'm really intrigued. Yeah, I'm really intrigued. Yeah, final vows. I'm really intrigued with the reunion because this was filmed over a year ago. So where everyone is at this point is going to be interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But no, great episode.
We do have to get Joe back on.
We do.
We're almost at the end of the season now, so I do want to know. And I'm sure there's lots of other people. Very passionately and enthusiastically telling us that we need to get Joe back on.
Big time. Yeah. Well, I did speak to Joe this week, and she was on holiday, and she did call me rotten, actually, Dave, which I thought was a bit harsh. She'd been listening to the podcast. I did say, I hope you brought a few pens back with you from your holiday. So I haven't spoken to her for a few days. So I'll drop her a message and see if we can get her on next week, Dave. That'd be ace if she's caught up.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, mate. But no, massive thank you to everyone as always. Please get over to Facebook if you're trying to catch up on the episodes. Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast, all the episodes that we cover, all the links there on the front page if you're outside the UK. If you do want to watch it sort of on the E4 or Channel 4 app, then if you want a VPN or you haven't got one, we have got an affiliate link in the notes as well with NordVPN. It gets you a bit of discount and that. But get over there. It's great. The chat facility is amazing. So many discussions going. I mean, there's a big brother discussion, and I've only watched one episode, and that's just running. I keep dipping in, reading what's going on, because I sort of watched when everyone came into this UK one, but it's just too much, Dave. Too many episodes. I can't commit to it. And most of them were Bellends as well. I was like, oh no, I'm out. So I've not watched it. What massive, brilliant to see. Massive. It's just brilliant to see everyone's just organically just chatting and discussing stuff in the chat and not ruining what's going on as well. So please get over there, guys. Big thanks to Charlene, as always, for moderating for us. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media @cdrealitycast. And if you want to support us a little bit more, please go over to patreon.com/cdrealitycast. So the roll call of honor, and a massive thank you to Anna, Tilly, Marcy, Stacey, Sinead, Kathleen, Sims, Andrea, Nick, Danielle, Kim, Amanda, Larissa, Helen, Nicola, Fiona, Zoe, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Chloe, Joanna, Libby, Susan, Lauren, Lucky Green, and Kent Gustafsson. So thank you so much, guys. Absolutely amazing stuff. And thank you for the support. And what a great week again, Dave. Absolute bunch of bellends, but we wouldn't have anything to talk about if they were all in love and happily ever after. So let's be honest. We call it as it is, but we also need these absolute cretins as well, Dave, because I'm bringing that back from Michelle. Cretin is back for 2024.
Absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. I honestly fucking love this show. Love talking to you about it. And I do feel like I need a bit of a lie down now, but I do feel so much better because obviously I've been waiting all week to speak to you about a lot of these fucking bellends and those bloody experts just stealing a fucking living there. But honestly, thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.